Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm just going to make a couple of these cards. So I made kind of a little sample just to see if I could actually do it or not, which is like these little woven paper cards. I am totally taking this idea from my friend Belinda. She recently made a video making these and I just thought they looked super fun and super cool. And so I was just sort of chilling out on a Saturday afternoon and I thought, hey, I'm going to finally actually give that a go and see how it goes. So that's what I am doing here. Belinda is a lot more careful and measured than I am. So I didn't measure at all. I just cut strips that just from my eye looked straight enough and similar enough in width. And in my opinion, it turned out fine. But I know that other people, they're going to want this to look perfect and neat, and that is awesome. Do it however it suits you. So you can measure them and use like a cutting tool or something to make your strips really nice and even. You could measure your base card piece so that you can kind of measure out how big you want each strip to be. I eyeballed everything. Everything was just like, I just cut a square for my base, just cut strips. You know, everything was done. Actually, with my bases, I did cut them out on using a cutter, but I didn't measure anything. I just cut, all of them are a slightly different size. They're all just similar enough. But you can see here, I just eyeballed it and I cut a whole bunch of strips. I didn't know if I had enough or too little or whatever. Here I just ran a little strip of glue down one side. So that is just going to help hold things in place while you are going ahead and weaving. So I laid down one strip one way and then I added a touch of glue just to that end to glue the pattern piece on top of the underneath piece. Did the same again, but on top with the green this time, and now I'm going under with the green, and then the next one will be on top with the green. So it's just sort of like repeating but the opposite, if you know what I mean. So under, over, under, over, under, over. But I have that little glue strip across the bottom of the brown paper so that these under pieces stick straight down, and the pattern piece where it's underneath also will be sticking straight down. With my glue stick, it's good because it doesn't dry instantly. It takes a little time, so it keeps it stuck down, but I can lift that pattern piece up and stick the other strip under it, and it's totally going to stick still. So it works really well using glue stick for this process. I'm pretty sure Belinda uses a different sort of glue. I've forgotten what type of glue she used, but hers was a different type of glue than mine, and you know, honestly, I think anything that you've got will work. Glue stick worked perfectly fine for me. Now we are up to the weaving part. So for this, I just went underneath that first one. I did the opposite of what the bottom one is. You look, you can see that where I went over last time, I've gone under this time. And it's a pretty simple process. I just grabbed a little bit of glue. It's just off camera so you couldn't quite see it, but I just put a tiny touch of glue right on the end of that pattern strip so that I could stick it straight down onto the green piece, just so that it held in place. And then I just flip down each piece that it's going to go underneath, and I, just tucked it underneath. When I'm doing the ones that start under, I'm not really worrying so much about glue. I'm going to do the gluing of that at the end. You can see it's not glued down. I just wove it through if it's starting underneath. But if it was starting on top, I added just a wee touch of glue stick to the end of the strip so that it would stay down. I hope this is making sense. It's probably a little confusing, but I hope it's making sense. Maybe if it's not making sense, go and check out Belinda's video, because Belinda was probably a little more considered with her words and a little bit more, better at teaching this sort of thing. But it is fairly straightforward, I think. Once you get into it, you can kind of just figure out what the next step is. You can see here that I am just doing the opposite of whatever the last one was so that it creates that nice woven pattern. With my pattern paper, I could have paid attention to how the patterns were sitting. So I don't know if you can tell, but some of the little kind of like oval shapes are sort of going up and some of them are going down. It didn't really bother me. I wasn't concerned about which way the direction of the pattern was going. But if that's something that would worry you, then do pay attention to that. For me, honestly, it didn't matter which way the pattern was going. And Belinda, I believe, actually used both of her pieces, like both of her types of strips were different patterns, but I decided I wanted to try it out with one pattern and one plain paper, and I really wanted to use like a neon coloured, like a really bright coloured plain paper and then a funky pattern to go with it. I don't know why, that was just what was kind of calling to me when I decided to make these. I decided that I would enjoy that. So I've lifted up the weaving. It all sort of holds together, and then underneath I'm just gluing it all down. I'm just placing glue all over it and then just carefully sort of pushing everything back into place and pressing it down like you can see me doing there. I'm a little off camera, but I'm sure you can see what I'm doing. We're back on camera now, and I'm just going around over the back and using the base part at the back there to help me sort of figure out where I need to trim everything. My scissors were getting very sticky and gluey from all the glue on the paper, but that's totally fine. Just pick all the pieces of paper off, and you can give your scissors a little wipe down with a wet cloth or a wet wipe or something if you feel that you need to. Mine were okay. I didn't actually wipe mine down, but if you are feeling like yours needs it, then go ahead and do that. Now you can see there are still, like, the top parts are still loose, and I didn't want that, so I just went back through with my glue stick, as you can see I'm doing here, and just sort of glued those top parts down. One side was stuck down, one side was loose, and then the green edges also were loose on one edge because we had glued down that one side to start off with, but where it ended was still all loose, so I had to kind of come back in there and just stick it all down. I had a bit of a wonky end, so I did just kind of go back in with my scissors there and trim my card a little bit smaller. You guys know me, I'm very imperfect. I'm not measuring things. I'm not trying to make this look perfect. Honestly, I think they look super cute, wonky. I like them how they are, so, you know, that's all good by me. I don't mind if they're wonky at all. You can see here I decided I wanted to make another one and try out one with bright yellow paper. I don't know that the camera's really picking it up, how well it is picking up for you guys, but it is quite a really like bright coloured yellow and bright green. I have these like fluorescent kind of paper packs that I got from Kmart, I believe, and they're super fun. They've got so much fun colour in them. So I just, again, cut my strips out here. I picked out another pattern paper. The patterns I had in the book weren't as good as I wanted them to be. I think maybe next time I do this, which I will be doing this again because this is fun, I might try some scrapbooking paper that's like on paper. You know, sometimes scrapbooking paper is like almost a cardstock, it's so thick. But some of them are really kind of cheaper, papery ones. So I think I'll try that out. I'd also really like to try this maybe with some of my 6x6 paper pads, because sometimes I have no idea how to use them and I have a lot. So I think this would be good for that, and it would make quite a cute little size as well. The journal cards I made were definitely smaller than 6x6. There was a fair amount of wastage, I think, in the paper scraps that ended up having, but I'll still be able to use some of them. I'll be able to add them to my little scrap paper bin, and I don't know, I'm sure I'll be able to figure out something to do with them. You can always use paper scraps, right? You can always find things to do with them. So here you can see that process of starting off again. I added that little strip of glue down the side, and then I'm just lifting when I need to up the paper and tucking a yellow underneath, and then grabbing a little bit of glue on the edge of that strip and going on top. So it's on underneath, on top, underneath, on top. It's just a very repetitive process, but having that strip of glue underneath is really helpful for just sticking, like kind of sealing it all in to start off with, so that while you're weaving, your paper isn't just falling out and moving around all over the show. I think that it would be really hard to do it if you didn't have that wee bit of glue just to begin with. I had quite a little strip of that brown showing there, so I had to add another half kind of strip there on the side, and I do trim a lot of that off when I get to the end of it, you'll see me do that. While I was adding these strips in, like the colours sometimes have repeated on the pattern pieces of paper. So I was trying not to have it too, putting all of the blue and green parts together and then all of the blue and orange parts together and then all of the blue and pink parts together. I kind of tried to alternate it and mix it up a little bit so that it didn't all end up having chunks of the same colour all together. And yeah, so I think that's what I like doing, but you could totally put all of the same kind of looking pieces all together if that's the style that you like. That's just something I was watching out for as I was doing this, so that I didn't have like a big group of all blue and green down one end and then all blue and orange or blue and pink or whatever somewhere else. So I think you're probably getting the idea of what I'm doing here. So I just skipped ahead to the last piece, and there you can see I wove it wrong. But you can easily just, if you notice you've done one wrong and you've done two the same, you can always just sort of unweave it again and then fix it up. It's very simple because I'm not gluing the whole thing as I go. I can fix things as I go. So once again, I've lifted up the whole panel. It all comes up really nicely together because it's all woven together, and then glue sticking the whole base and then carefully peeling it down. Here, once again, I'm going around with this sticky paper and trimming it all down. It's sticking to my scissors terribly, but it's fine. Trimming off all of the extra pieces so that we've got a nice little, squared up kind of journaling card or whatever you want to use it for. And once again, I'm just going around the edges, and any parts that are lifting, I'm just adding in that little extra bit of glue just to kind of secure it down and make sure it doesn't all flip-flap around and get damaged or, whatever, fall out. It shouldn't fall out. Everything is glued down at this point, but just I like having it secured down so that it's not going to get pushed up and a little damaged looking. So that's the end of this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing this process. It was so fun. Thank you so much, Belinda. Go and check her video out as well because it's super, super fun. I definitely recommend you going ahead and watching that one too, and she will be linked below. Hope you guys are well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!